Hey guys, the next Hearthstone expansion has been announced as the Saviors of Uldum. Today we'll be doing our first card review on the first 14 cards. 10% of the cards have been revealed for the set.
Who's up for an adventure?
I should note that this card review will not use the widespread 0 or 1 to 5 star rating system which most reviewers are using. While reviews with the 5-star rating system are beneficial, I highly recommend checking them out as well. These card reviews will focus on the 3 questions Hearthstone players really want to know. First, will the card fit into one of the current powerful decks, usually tier 1 through tier 3 decks, which we will call meta decks. So, is it meta now? Second, will the card fit into a meta deck once the set comes out? Meaning if it won't slot into a current deck, is it powerful enough to make a new deck archetype viable? At least taking into account what we've seen thus far. So, is it meta later? And third, and maybe most importantly, at least to me and my viewers probably, is it a card that will inspire or enable a crazy, experimental, or meme deck? So, is it meme deck worthy? Now, for those of you without a lot of time, there's a time code in the description below to jump to for the quick reviews. For everyone else, let's get into the detailed reviews. The first card revealed was Untapped Potential, the Druid quest requiring that you end 4 turns with any unspent mana, and the reward is a new passive hero power you automatically receive upon quest completion that gives all of your Choose One cards both effects combined, much like Fandral Staghelm. So, is it meta now? No. None of the current meta decks would likely slot this in. In many matchups, the token druids cannot afford to have multiple turns with unspent mana early on, and the reward isn't quite powerful enough. Is it meta later? It's more of a build-around card, and when asking if it will be meta later, looking at the power of the Choose One cards combined, it might just barely be able to make it up with the value that it loses early on. Against aggressive decks, players can just not focus on completing the quest, but rather staying alive, while control matchups will probably look to finish this quest fairly quickly. It's good, but it's not great. But we will go ahead and push it into the meta later category. However, it is definitely a meme deck worthy card, as we can and will build an all choose one deck with this card. At the moment, if you include Keeper Still Address, there are 29 choose one cards in standard, and there may be 1 or 2 more choose one cards introduced in this set. So, let's meme. Next up is Supreme Archaeology, the Warlock quest, this time requiring that you draw 20 cards. The reward is a new 2-mana hero power which draws a card and makes it cost 0 mana. So, drawing 20 cards can take all game, but this card would work pretty well in a plot twist deck, which shuffles cards back into your deck and draws the same number back. Brian Kibler recently put out a video about his plot twist deck and noted that it had a near 60% win rate with it. With that win rate, we'll go ahead and consider his deck a meta deck, and I believe this card would find a home in that deck. So, meta now. With the crazy games I've played with the plot twist deck, I think there's a lot of potential for it to be really powerful, especially if you can get a full-sized, surviving the end of turn, free copy of one of your huge minions to play out in the later turns. So yes, meta later. Meme deck worthy? Did someone say plot twist and 0 mana crazy plays? Oh yeah, meme on. And to support these new quests for every class, we have the Questing Explorer, a neutral card with a battle cry that if you control a priest, draw a card. As there are no quests currently in standard, this gets an automatic no for meta now. However, as it helps regain some of the card and tempo loss from having to play a quest on your first turn, I believe many of the quest decks will run this, and we can be pretty sure that at least a few decks will be meta. So yes, meta later. Regarding meme worthiness, honestly, it is a powerful card, but it doesn't inspire a memey feeling. Although it may enable one of the less popular quest decks to be played, it doesn't quite make the cut in my mind. So, no meme for you. Next up is the Plague of Death, a priest card which silences and destroys all minions. Basically, it keeps death rattles or other reactive minion effects from going off and clears the board. So, according to Tempo Storm's meta snapshot, the only priest deck within the top 3 tiers is Combo Mech Priest, and this is a bit too expensive to be running in that deck. It may help to clear the board before setting up for a 2-turn combo, but it's probably not worth running in this deck, so not meta now. A priest archetype which could come back with this card is Control Priest, and Death Rattle Priest might even consider running a copy of this card in case they need to clear the board before their swing turn, though there is some anti-synergy. If one of these decks gets enough support, one copy of this might find a way into its decks, so yes, it is possible to be a meta deck later. Initially, I was tempted to say this card is not meme-worthy, even with the awesome reveal video line describing it as straight up death. Silenced death. The deathiest death. However, as it clears the board so well for crazy combos, there will probably be something fun and experimental it will enable. Unfortunately, nothing comes to mind at the moment, but I'd about bet that Disguised Toast will figure something out. Fifth on the list is Restless Mummy, a warrior card with Rush and Reborn. Reborn means it comes back after it dies once with 1 health remaining, kind of like a minion from the Paladin Secret Redemption. This can be used to do 3 damage to 2 minions, 6 damage to 1 minion, 3 damage to a minion and a 3/1 leftover, or just be a hard to kill minion. Honestly, I think current builds of Bomb and Control Warrior could slot this in, possibly replacing Militia Commander. So yes, meta now. And as it's a powerful and flexible card, I'm certain it will find a home in the new meta. Now, this card has both Rush and Reborn. We will definitely be building an Akali the Rhino deck with all the Rush and Reborn cards we can stuff into it. Prepare to experiment. Next is the Evil Totem, a shaman card which gives you a lackey at the end of your turn. It's not aggressive enough for the current aggro shaman, and probably not enough for Murloc shaman, though Control shaman might be able to fit this in, as extra value and generation from Hagatha. So, just barely meta now? However, because lackeys are super value, provide extra spells from Hagatha the Witch, and I could see a lackey Battlecry synergy deck coming together, especially with 2 of the other cards which we will be discussing later in the video, I do believe a meta deck will be able to use this, so definitely meta later. Did someone say Totem Cruncher? Probably not, but I do foresee a Totem buff, Battlecry, Shudderwalk meme deck formulating. We'll go ahead and give it meme deck worthy status. Number 7 is the Jar Dealer, a 1-mana neutral minion with a death rattle to add a 1-cost minion to your hand. Potentially itself, but probably not. Honestly, it's not a bad card, but it doesn't seem to fit anywhere at the moment, so not meta now. And other than generating extra spells from Hagatha, I'm having difficulty seeing this as a strong card. It could be a sleeper Firefly and turn out to be more popular than I'm anticipating, but the unreliability makes the verdict for me not meta later either. Memes. Quest Hunter! Oh, wait, that quest is in Wild. It's not quite bad enough to be memey to play, but we could probably build some peculiar decks with it. Though, as it doesn't inspire anything at the moment, or seem to enable something bizarre, we'll judge it as not meme deck worthy. Now we get to see the Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron, a mage spell which casts 10 random spells. 10 random spells. Let the chaos ensue. But seriously, I could see running a single copy of this in Cyclone Giants or Freeze Mage as a last-ditch emergency out, hopeful swing. It would be a dead draw early on, so it's questionable, but I'm going to go ahead and venture to say that it could be meta now. And for the same reason, I believe it is likely to be an emergency prayer to get out of jail free in the meta later. A guaranteed 10 random spell Yogg-Saron without a body, unless one player dies before all 10 spells are cast. Is there a more meme-worthy card, other than Yogg-Saron itself, which has been printed? It doesn't just get a circle. It actually does get a star here. Not a rank star, but a star nonetheless. Next, we have Corrupt the Waters, the Shaman quest to play 6 Battlecry cards. The reward is a 2-mana hero power that causes your Battlecries, after using your hero power, to that turn to trigger twice. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your stance, Shudderwock costs 9, so we can't combine this hero power with him in Standard. Or can we? Well, first, realize that this competes with Hagatha herself, somewhat. At least getting overwritten when she's played, if it's a deck that would use her. Aggro Shaman and Control Shaman barely run enough Battlecries to activate this, and Murloc Shaman might be able to use it, but it's a slow turn 1 for them. It might be worth it in the long run, but they would probably want to make a number of changes to get it to work. Due to the challenged Murloc Shaman, this just barely rates as not meta now. However, with the new Lackey synergies coming out and the power of Battlecries in general, I would be shocked if this does not find its way into a meta deck next expansion. So, one of the fun things about experimental decks is that you aren't always able to pull off the meme combo, but when you do, it's awesome. We will draw Shudderwock with the coin, or reduce its cost with Farsight at some point, and see what madness ensues with double Shudderwock Battlecries. I almost feel bad for Wild, as a discounted Shudderwock is much more reliable to pull off there. Meme-worthy. And Shamans aren't just messing with water. They also get Earthquake, a spell which deals 5 damage to all minions, then 2 damage to all minions. So it can do 7 damage total to all minions, and or kill minions with 5 or less health, then do 2 damage to any Death Rattle leftovers. This could potentially swap right out with a copy or 2 of Hagatha's Scheme from Control Shaman at the moment. It's more expensive, but it's not a dead or slow draw later on in the game. I give it meta now and meta later. Later, there may be Super Say Control Shamans, which run 2 copies of this and Hagatha's Scheme. Honestly, this card is powerful enough in its own right that I don't see it as memey at all. And while it can set up for shenanigans, which makes it kind of borderline qualify, I have to give this an overriding not memey deck worthy, as it doesn't feel experiment-inducing or meme enough. Sorry. Next, we have this worthless card. Or rather, you get 3 of these shuffled into your deck from this card, Embalming. Well played, Blizzard. Well played. This is a Warlock spell that removes a minion and shuffles 3 of these guys into your deck. The painful downside of this card could potentially be turned into an upside in a Fatigue or Reform deck, but the only Warlock meta deck at the moment is Zulok, and they don't run Reform anymore. Kibler's Plot Twist deck wouldn't really benefit from this either, so not meta now. Someone might find a way to make this work, but it hardly seems like it would be reliable, so it doesn't make the cut for meta later either. However, due to the challenge of getting it to work well, it could be a good candidate for a meme deck, and I can see something coming together with Reform. So, meme deck worthy. Now we get to see the Mage Quest for this expansion, Raid the Sky Temple. To complete this quest, you have to cast 10 spells, other than this card, and your reward is the new hero power which adds a random mage spell to your hand which costs 2 less. It fits fairly well into Conjurer Mage at the moment, and probably will in the future. During his reviews, Kriparian warned of the drawbacks of losing the normal mage hero power, but at least in Standard, I think the rest of the deck being powerful enough can milk the benefit out from this new hero power pretty effectively. So meta now and meta later. Honestly, it doesn't feel very memey or experimental, but it does generate random cards, and makes me want to build an alternative Arcane Giant deck. So just barely meme deck worthy? It seems Blizzard really wanted us to know what Shamans will be up to in the next expansion, as the 4th Shaman card has also been revealed. The disturbing love child of Dr. Boom and Hagatha, Weaponized Wasp, which has a battlecry that if you control a lackey, it will deal 3 damage. I thought this would fit well into Control Shaman, but it doesn't look like they run a lackey generator at the moment. It could potentially fit into Aggro or Murloc Shaman, and they'd probably need to do a little bit of a workaround to make this worth it, but being able to do 3 damage to the face or around a taunt may make it worth it. Thus, we will go ahead and say it's meta now. However, with the new Lackey and Battlecry synergies, decent stats on this, and a nice upside, I'm quite certain it will find its way into a meta deck later. As for experiments, Battlecry, Lackey, Shudderwalk Shaman. Here we come. 1 cost Lackeys and 9 cost Shudderwalk works out well even if we aren't able to get discounts for double Battlecries. And the last card for this review is the Druid card, Bees! With that many E's, you have to say it that way. It's a spell that when you choose a minion, it summons 4 1/1 bees that attack it. This almost feels like a token card, as it can have leftover minions. But most of the current token druid lists seem pretty tight at the moment. I don't think it would fit into a current meta deck. That being said, its synergies with Raid Leader, Direwolf Alpha, Knife Juggler, as well as its potential to generate tokens, does make it seem likely a meta deck which can use this will be formulated. So potentially meta later? We'll go with it. Speaking of formulas, we will make some alchemical mixtures with this, as I'm sure we can do something pretty broken with it. I just don't see what it is quite yet. We may need Disguised Toast's brilliance on this one too. But yes, experimental and meme deck worthy. That's all the cards. Now for the quick reviews. Untapped Potential is not meta now, but meta later and meme worthy. Supreme Archaeology is meta now, meta later, and meme on. Questing Explorer is not meta now, but meta later, but not quite meme worthy. Plague of Death is not meta now, but meta later, possibly memes for you? Restless Mummy is a meta now, meta later, and a meme on card. Evil Totem is meta now, meta later, and meme worthy. Jar Dealer is not meta now or later, and doesn't even get the memes. Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron is meta now, meta later, and Dragon Ball meme worthy. Corrupt the Waters is not meta now, but meta later, and meme worthy. Earthquake is meta now, meta later, but not really meme worthy. Whereas Embalming is not meta now, nor meta later, but meme worthy. Raid the Sky Temple is meta now, meta later, and meme worthy. Weaponized Wasp is meta now, meta later, and experimental meme worthy. Bees is also not meta now, but meta later, and experimental meme worthy. And that's a wrap. Of course, this is a subjective review, but I'm making some pretty direct predictions. Let me know in the comments below if you think I missed something, you agree or disagree with something I said. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep exploring. See you!